Well, good morning and welcome to our broadcast this morning about improving data exchange with Intergraph products. My name is Dale Lutz.
And I'm Steve McCabe. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yes, and we're looking forward to sharing with you a number of interesting ways data can be shared when you're working in the Intergraph product suite. You know, Steve, I want to thank everybody for joining us. This is the first day of summer, the first full day, and I think it might be the only day of summer here in Vancouver.
Yeah, so far it's not been a very good summer or spring for us, has it?
No, and I know it's going to start raining tomorrow afternoon, or maybe even this afternoon. So we'll tear outside as soon as this is over. But anyway, thank you all for joining us. And I know our friends in San Jose have already told us that the weather's nice in San Jose this morning.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not surprised by that, though. California?
Yes. I think it never rains in Southern California, but San Jose, I think, does get rain.
Oh, okay.
At least it did the week that I was there for vacation. I think it was the only week of rain they had, and we got rain the whole time. So anyway, thanks very much for joining us. We're also helped today by our friend and colleague Robin Rennie, database expert here at SAFE. And so throughout the webcast, please don't hesitate to keep her busy, ask lots of questions. This is a great chance for us to interact together. And actually, with Steve, sometimes I'll let people know while you're doing demos, I may sneak away and answer some questions too.
That's right, yeah.
So if folks hear the keyboard typing, that isn't Steve, that's me.
Yeah, and Dale's really good at filling in if I have a little delay of software on my computer. So.
And yeah, Steve's computer is, I just noticed yesterday, is on the list for replacement. So this is probably one of the last outings for the old girl. So it should be fun. All right, so what's our agenda today, Steve?
All right, so we're going to be going through about 50 minutes of presentation, really talking about safe software and FME, and we're going to go through some of the demos that I've prepared, and then we'll finish up with some questions and answers. Hopefully, at the end of it, we like seeing the questions and answers. It means that we've done a good job in tweaking your ideas and thoughts, and maybe ways you can use the FME with Intergraph products.
Yes.
All right.
Oh yeah, and I think at the end we do have our traditional offer for some free seats if folks will be asking you if you're interested, and you can let us know.
Yep.
And then you get to take a class. Steve, do you ever teach any of those classes?
I have been on a couple of them, yeah.
Yeah, and I think Robin does too.
Yes.
Actually, one of them is for specifically about databases.
That's right, Oracle database, SQL Server databases.
Probably either one of you or Robin will be involved in that, I would think.
Yeah, we are. So.
Very good.
Okay, and I guess we should also mention that we've got, 5 or 6 poll questions we're going to be doing this morning.
Yes, and so one thing, just to help Steve know how much detail he needs to get into, we'd like to get a sense of how much folks have been out there using FME, just to kind of help us understand. Well, we got a good spread there coming in. And unlike the Egyptian election, we will not be deferring the release of these results for several days. So we're going to have instant tabulation here, and I think we'll probably call that good. I was hoping for a 70. Oh, we passed a 75% turnout. So I'm going to say that that's good. So let's see what those results look like. Wow, a fifth of the folks out there haven't used FME at all. So that's really great. Thanks for tuning in this morning. And then we have kind of an even spread, but a bunch of folks that have been using FME for a long time too.
That's good to see. Okay, and right back to back, we got our next question.
Okay. Right. To help us know on the Intergraph side what kind of products people are looking at there.
Yeah. Who in the audience? Who's using G technology?
Yeah, lots of GeoMedias. You know, I'm a kind of a big MGE fan myself.
Right.
I wrote the first MGE reader in FME about 20 years ago when I was a young man then, and it pleased me greatly that we have lots of folks still using that actually.
That's right. Yeah.
And we're pleased that it works really well now in FME 2012.
Yeah.
Had a little rough spot at the beginning of FME 2012.
Well, yeah, we had a little tweak there in 2012 that kind of didn't go well, and we heard about it.
We heard about it.
Found out that there are people using MGE Reader and Writer.
And we fixed it. Looks like 10% of the audience today, the MGE people, but GTech and ICAD, about 40% each. Of course, these don't have to add up to 100 because people can actually choose all of them even.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anybody did, but some might have. Interesting how many folks using FRAMME. So are you going to do some FRAMME stuff?
I think we got a little custom data format that I bring up. We'll show you know, a typical workspace with a custom data format.
And will you reveal what UFID actually stands for?
No.
Okay,
Maybe
well that'll
you
be the
will.
challenge. I'm not going to, but we'll see if any.
Is that a free T-shirt?
Well, I better not offer that, but I bet these 18% would know what UFID stands for. So we'll see. I'll take a peek in there and see what people have. So anyway, thanks very much for sharing that. That's very helpful to know the spread of where folks are.
Okay.
So a few things about SAFE. We're privately held up here in, well, we say Vancouver, but really we're in beautiful Surrey, British Columbia. It is beautiful. You don't actually live in Surrey, do you, Steve?
I'm a Langley guy, yeah.
So am I.
Yeah.
So we're both country boys
Yeah.
coming into the big city of Surrey on a regular basis. We have about 95 other colleagues. Some of them do live in Surrey, I know.
That's right.
So and they're proud of it,
yeah.
actually. And we do have a network of resellers all around the world. I just got a note this morning from a Brazilian reseller. He had an FME event there yesterday in Brazil. 150 folks turned up.
That's great.
So not quite as many as come to the Hexagon conference.
No.
But pretty darn good for that. So that's a bit about SAFE.
Okay. So now we're going to dive into what FME is all about and what the technology does for our customers.
Yes. So our core product is this thing called FME. We use it to help our customers transform data to use in whatever product that they're going to be doing, or maybe they want to share it out. And in fact, you're going to be going, are you going both directions today? Sometimes coming into Intergraph stuff and sometimes sharing out?
Yeah, we got some, a lot of the workflows I'm going through are going to take the sample, US sample data set that everybody from Intergraph or Intergraph customers know very well. And we'll be putting that out into SQL Server, GeoMedia, the Oracle database, which will have the GDO sys metadata attached to it. And then also we'll be pulling in some ArcSTE into GeoMedia as well.
So both transforming data to both use and share. So
yeah.
You must have seen this slide before.
Yes, I have a couple times.
Now Steve mentioned that most Intergraph folks will know about it. Here's sort of a spoiler alert or a big reveal. Steve, you were in a former life an Intergrapher.
That's right. Yes, I spent 10 years with Intergraph, 5 years with the Ottawa gang in Canada, and then another 5 years in the UK.
And you almost have no accent.
I have no accent. I don't even have a Nova Scotian accent. Well, sometimes I might come up with it.
So anyway, that's great, and it's really been great to have Steve on staff here at SAFE to really help us know things like the standard Intergraph data set and really how folks use the technologies. So thanks very much, Steve. Getting back to this slide, FME is this product that sits in the middle between all kinds of different data types. Today in particular, we're not going to be talking about things like point cloud or BIM, probably not even raster, I don't think. But we do dabble in the CAD, GIS, and spatial database, and maybe even some 3D.
Yeah, that's right. GeoMedia 3D is
yes.
One of the areas where we've helped entertain.
Yes.
Okay.
So a key thing and why FME is so useful for Intergraph users is that it's a fantastic tool for restructuring data. That means changing either the geometry slightly or the attributes, the columns, the feature types, the layers, merging things, splitting them apart, setting them up with the right kind of attributes. All of these things are very key, particularly for the kind of products like iCAD, which have quite specific needs. FRAMME, often the data is coming out of there, not quite in the way you want to do it, and certainly G technology has a very specific schema. So Intergraph data exchange folks end up using FME almost exclusively in this area, wouldn't you say, Steve?
Yeah, that's right. So, yep. Okay, so SAFE, we have two products here. FME Desktop, we'll show a little bit about that, and then we'll show lots of demos within that product, and then we got FME Server that we're going to touch base on at the very end for a few slides.
Okay.
But before we get to the rest of the workbench, we've got Dale coming up with another poll question for us.
Pay attention here. So, right. Steve always wants to know, because he's a database guy, what kind of database does your organization use, either with your Intergraph products or more generally for your enterprise? And I guess we're looking for spatial databases here. And let's see how...
if you've got any other ones that aren't listed there and you want to let us know, please put it in on the question interface.
We got somebody that said DB2. I'm so excited. We did want to put that in. We had some interest. FME does support DB2.
Yep.
And Steve, it must work flawlessly, because how many support requests have you dealt with?
None.
Not a one.
No.
So there's a few ways we can interpret that, but anyway, and Spatial Light. I'm curious. I know nobody actually uses Spatial Light with Intergraph products, but if you like Spatial Light, write in, because I'm looking for reasons to add it to FME.
Okay.
Nothing to do with this webinar at all, actually. So we'll call that good. Very good turnout on this vote and we'll share the results. So what does that look like to you, Steve?
Wow, heavy on the Oracle.
Yes.
76%, and we got Microsoft SQL Server coming in second at 52%, and then a lot of Microsoft Access, and then it tails off quite quickly after that.
The DB2 with a token showing, but it's good to see. Thank you very much, whoever said DB2. It's exciting to see that. We do appreciate that. Okay.
All right. So FME Desktop, when we speak of FME Desktop, there's a couple of little packages that come with that. FME Workbench is one part of that, and that's where all the authoring of our workspaces takes place. We can see here in the graphic we've got some objects on a canvas, and that's the great thing about FME. It's a graphical authoring environment. So you drop these transformers onto the canvas that dictate how your workflow, what you want to do with your data. Maybe you're dropping off some attributes. Maybe you're creating some additional attributes. Maybe you've got some simple data and you want to query a database or an Excel file and pull in information from those sources and add it into your spatial data that's going through the workflow. But it's really easy to use, really easy to drop things onto the canvas and make your tweaks. And the big part of FME is learning about transformers. I guess it's almost like any development code. You really got to learn your functions and the library. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So the main thing here is that you are coding, but you're coding by drawing pictures. And so someone that the other alternative for solving these kind of problems is generally writing code. Cracking open the C++ or the Visual Basic or whatever turns you crank. And the point is that this kind of a method for the kind of problems that we solve, frankly, will always beat writing code because it's way faster to work at this level than to be down at the other level. And so really we like to say our primary competitor is actually people writing code. And if that's what we're up against, generally customers find it an immense productivity gain to master the workbench and FME.
And that's the thing for me related around the programming side of it. You know, in the past we would have to have a developer on our staff to kind of do some of this custom programming. Now we can put the power back into the GIS user, and they know their data. Who knows the data better than the GIS user? They know what they want to create or supply, and so now they have the ability to do that through this graphical authoring environment.
Now we also include with FME, I think on the next slide here, a way that you can take a peek at your data. I bet you're going to make use of that briefly today at some point.
Yeah, I'll be showing a couple of it where I'll just throw up some data into the viewer. We have two of these. Well, the universal view and the data inspector.
Why stop with one if you can have two?
Well, yeah, I think we're in a transition period.
It's one of the longest transition periods. The data inspector will one day rise, but it's having it's one of these things where it's kind of like why the U.S. Can't go to the moon. You know, you had that great technology early, the Apollo rockets. You can't build those anymore, the Saturn rockets. So the universal viewer was kind of like that. It was our old faithful. We thought we were smart. We'd rewrite it using the most modern technology. We're into year 5 now, and the data inspector is trying to do all things for all people and a little over ambitious, but we shall prevail. And I'm thinking we're making big strides in data inspector this release. And with any luck, if we're doing this a year from now, we did this a year ago right now, apparently. Is that what you said, Steve?
Yeah, that's right. It was a year ago. There was riots in Vancouver, and we had some royalty visiting us last year.
So now this year, there's nothing. I mean, everybody's just calm, and
there's definitely no hockey.
No hockey. Sure. Nobody really didn't know. Is that over anyway? Anybody from Los Angeles on? Did that ever end, that hockey thing? I know that Canadian football is starting, so I'm excited about that.
That's true.
But all that I'm really trying to say is if we do this a year from now, with luck, we will have riots in the streets because of a hockey thing again. And also, we won't have the universal viewer because data inspector will have risen.
That's right. The key thing with the data inspector right now is the 3D functionality that it handles. It does a brilliant job with that.
It just on the 2D isn't so great.
Yeah.
And that's what we're working on. Okay, so that's this. Oh, is that a poll?
Yeah, that's another poll question, Dale.
All right. So just a quick poll about what folks' biggest challenges are when they're talking about getting data into the Intergraph side of things. So format differences. Wow, lots of folks interested in interacting with ArcGIS and SD. I think we have a slide on that somewhere.
We do, yeah.
We'll talk about that at some point. Coordinate systems, you just can't have enough coordinate systems.
No.
I think FME is like 7,000.
Is that what the full spectrum of
And
it?
I'd like to tell people when we first did the implementation of the GeoMedia Access Warehouse reading into FME, that was about a 3-month project. We got that all done. And then we said, oh, sick, we didn't do the coordinate system part where we could figure out what the coordinate system was. Another 3 months.
Wow.
It was the same amount of work to do the coordinate system, like figuring out what it was and writing it out, as it was to do the whole format. So it's a big, big effort for us. Well, anyway, thanks very much, folks, and I'll show the results there. So our format differences, about half the folks. Data model, which goes back to what we were saying, and that's where I really think FME shines. You know, of course, we do lots of formats, but the data model is really, I think people miss out if they don't understand that. And of course, the winner actually would be ArcGIS and SDE.
That's very interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll talk a little bit about that too, and I'm dying to know what they said in chat. I bet it was spatial light. Robin can let me know if that was the case. Okay.
All right. So just give us a little taster of what's coming up here. We're going to talk about a little bit about what we do with Intergraph. Introduce the Intergraph readers and writers that some of you may or may not be familiar with. Then we're going to go through several kind of quick demos, FME and the FME GDO, the G technology interface with that, the Oracle spatial database. We're going to write some data out to Oracle.
You have an Oracle running somewhere?
I do, yeah.
You'd started it up this morning?
It's running.
Okay, I'm always nervous.
I know, I am too. I already did a couple of tests just to make sure.
Okay.
It's one thing doing these things live. It's another thing doing them when you're in your office by yourself and you're just trying to get some data in.
There's a lot more adrenaline, especially early in the morning doing these things live.
Yeah, I'm just barely awake now thanks to the coffee.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about the ICAD, FME ICAD. We've been doing a little bit of talking with Intergraph on that front, and then finish off with some FME Server.
Very good. So in terms of FME or Safe Software and Intergraph, we've been working with Intergraph for a very long time. Actually, going back, I remember I met Mark Doherty. He was on a Canadian standards board. Now he's, I think, the CTO of the geospatial side, Esri and I. And at that time, he was on a Canadian standards thing, and SAFE had just started, and he was talking with me about SAIF and COGIF. I wonder if anybody out there knows COGIF. FME supports that format, incidentally. It was a great Canadian format, like so many others. But anyway, and he at the time said, hey, let's get something going with MGE and FME. And then we got that going. And then later on, he helped us immensely to get going with GeoMedia. And we do work in 2 ways with GeoMedia, and we'll be showing that. One where FME can just act as a data server for GeoMedia, where you bring data straight in, direct read. And the other way where we can just run externally from GeoMedia and do data exchange and write to the GeoMedia formats.
Yeah.
So anyway, and as well, Intergraph, very good partner of ours around the world, lots of the regional. You actually were from the UK office.
Yep.
They're one of the major expertise areas with FME for sure.
Well, they've, you know, since I left, we had FME there for a few years for sure, and I know one of my colleagues was using it, Keston Morris, and then it just kind of started to spawn, and it really was after I left that they started making use of it for some G technology migration projects. So.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Okay.
And also, I've been to every Intergraph conference, I think.
That's right.
Since they started again, and wherever it was in the 2000 and somethings.
Yeah.
No, even earlier.
Oh, was it?
Okay. I'm getting old, man. And then, well, they had to come. First, they had some SG and I ones, and then they did it. And so I have all the T-shirts. I do. My wife isn't happy about it, but I have the full set. So anyway.
What's very interesting about that, Dale, is the conference you speak of. I was with Intergraph for 10 years, and I didn't make it to the big conference until this year. It was Safe Software was my first time getting down there, which now it's the Hexagon conference, but still.
Fantastic conference.
Yeah, it was great to get down there and see all the colleagues and friends. So it was, I was pretty impressed.
So I think while we've been talking about the conferences, folks have read these. So bottom line is we have a lot of different readers and writers that touch on the Intergraph world, and we didn't even call out, well, yeah, you did. You didn't call out DB2.
No, I didn't.
But anyway, that's okay. The rest of these things there, and even the Oracle relational model, you know, we put a lot of effort into that years ago, and I'm very happy that it's been able to be used for so many of the older GTech installations over the years.
Yeah, I make a mention on the Oracle Spatial Object Model with the GDO sys. Everybody, Intergraph customers that work with the Oracle Spatial Database. We know GeoMedia writes out to that format very well.
And I think we do something special. The GeoMedia has its own flavor of doing annotation in there or text.
Yeah, that's right.
And we do fish that in and out.
That's right, we do. Yeah.
So
and I've got. I'll show a demo of that.
Is it time to actually get shown something?
It is.
We've been talking about demos.
All right, so let's jump into our. Where's my mouse at now? Okay. These two screens, you know.
Yes.
So I'm going to open up GeoMedia here. I just updated yesterday actually to I think 619.
Nothing like changing the version just before the demo,
no,
Steve.
I'm confident. You know, one thing, the upgrades of the GeoMedia always seem to go fairly good.
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
So what's going on now?
I'm gonna open up my connections here and we'll show I got some US sample data and access there. But what I'm really interested in is showing off the FME GDO. So we'll click on that, and what's going to happen is this is going to give us a doorway into the FME formats that we can support. So if I click on this ellipse here, what this is doing is giving me an overview of all the formats that we can go out and read and pull into GeoMedia.
Okay.
So in this case here, I've got an ArcGIS already set up, and I'm just gonna click on the parameters here.
Oh, you must have. I bet, Steve. I'm gonna point out to people. You must have used that button there to save all these things.
That is one of my favorite things, especially when I'm connecting to SDE.
Yes, yes, because there's a few things to keep track of. So
yeah.
You've even got your own username. I'm impressed.
Yeah. Oh well, you know, gotta have my little box in the database.
Yeah. So what's going on there?
So now I'm just clicking on the table list, and I'm just gonna read all the tables that are available in the SDE database. But I'm interested in just mine, so I'm gonna search for those, grab all those, and pull them back. So I'm going to say OK to that, OK to this.
So I think I'll just mention for the folks at home there, what this ultimately is going to do, I think, is going to pull the whole layer out, isn't it?
That's right. So if we had a lot of data in there, it would do that. So
what we'd want to, if we had piles of data, we could put down a base map and then zoom in somewhere and then turn it on, because then you'd only pull the stuff we're looking at.
That's right, yeah. In this case, the data is not a huge data set, so I'm pulling it back. So we can select one of these features.
You must have styled this, or why has it got that nice?
Yeah, I've cheated, and in this workspace, it's making styles based on these features.
You must know how to use this product.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not like some of my ex-colleagues who were pretty whizzy at it, but you know, yeah, we get by. So that's how easy it is to pull in some SDE data.
Now, I want to ask you, I know this is off-roading, but do you have ArcGIS licensed on this computer right now?
I do, in matter of fact. So that's a good comment
but
you want to make.
This wouldn't have been using it.
No, this wouldn't have been. Well, in my case, I think I went through the SDE.
Yes.
But
that does not use a license. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was one of the questions we had at the Hexagon conference come up, was how, you know, now we can, in FME 2012 installed on your system, you can make use of the file
geodatabase. Yes.
Yeah.
That requires nothing at all. For what Steve's done here, he does have to have the SDE DLLs somewhere, and if you have ArcGIS, they will be there. But also, if you don't, if that site somewhere has an SDE, they must have the SDE developer kit.
Okay.
And as long as they install that on the computer, there's no problem installing that all over. That'll give them the SDE DLLs, and they have access.
And there's no licensing issues there. You don't need a license for that, right?
No, as long as your SDE is running somewhere, you're good to go.
Okay.
So you are using, I guess, connections on the SDE, but that typically isn't a problem for people.
Okay.
So and we'll talk about this some more, but that's pretty good. That worked really well there, Steve.
Yeah. Yeah.
That SDE is not running on this computer, is it? Is it running somewhere in the cloud?
That's right. It's running in the safe cloud.
Okay.
Yes. Say. So okay.
Well, that's great. One demo down.
Yep. So just a little bit about that. I guess we don't really need to say much more than that. We really covered those bullets off.
I think the key thing is that if you're hitting something or connecting something that's huge, you should have another base map layer out of, let's say, an Access warehouse and zoom in first.
Yeah. And
then as you pan and zoom, we'll refresh properly and do the right things.
And that's pretty common in GeoMedia anyways. Like if you make a connection to a large database and you're zoomed way out, you're going to get it all back. So we like to zoom in.
Actually, I think, folks, I'm going to get you to off-road here, Steve.
Okay.
Just be really nervous. Can you start up that FME integration console? Do you know that fella?
I sure do.
I haven't actually looked in there for a while, so this is going to be interesting for me, actually. It's down in Utilities. Here we go. This is the thing that kind of injects FME into GeoMedia. I think by default we do it, don't we? Or do you have to go in here?
Yeah, well, I've been messing around with mine because I've been uninstalling FME and reinstalling, so I actually had to extend it there yesterday.
So there it is. And so if you click, and can we go click on that somewhere here, there's options button. And I just wanted to point out to folks that that bottom thing, max rows, is kind of like a governor. So if you are doing what I said and you haven't zoomed in and you hit, you know, every address in North America, it's going to just stop after 100,000.
That's a very good point.
And so, and then if you zoom in somewhere, we'll go again. But anyway, some folks might want to adjust that thing. So I'm just diving in a little deeper here.
Yeah, that's really good. I wasn't even aware of this option on this, and I didn't know this is where you found that. So
yeah,
that's really
almost
good.
Nobody does. I mean, Steve, you worked at Intergraph for 10 years. You didn't know, and it's safe for how many? 2 or 3?
Yeah, a year and a half now.
Well, now you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's our off-roading.
And that's also a good thing if you are trying to actually load more than 100,000 features, and why can't I get any more back? Now you know why. So
right.
No, that's good.
I did have at least one customer come by at the Hexagon conference that was troubled by this one.
Okay.
So now you know. Why we put that in there was to stop those situations where just you're trying to suck down 3 million records, and at some point enough is enough.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
All right. So the next one we got here is a workspace. We're going to go back into the first part of this. We're going to go into the FME desktop. We're going to open up a workspace, and then we'll show the results in GeoMedia.
Okay.
So this is firing up on my lazy computer. It's not awake as much as Dale and I are.
We're getting there, aren't we?
All right. So in this workspace here, all I'm doing is reading the Access US sample database, and I've just grabbed a few of the formats, and then I'm going out to the Oracle. So I've got an Oracle Spatial Database 11.2.03 on our system. And the other key thing in this here workspace is that I make use of an SQL executor. And this SQL executor is actually doing some fun stuff. And I introduced this last year on the webinar, and I'll definitely go through it again. I had a few people that were quite interested in it. Like we mentioned before, GeoMedia does a good job getting data into Oracle Spatial, but sometimes you may want to have some kind of automated processes outside of that. And what this SQL statement's doing is actually making use of Chuck Woodbury's packages, the GOM, where he's got some PLSQL in the database, and we hit that and we pass some parameters into it for each of the features that we're processing. So it's pretty simple. What it's doing, we're just taking each one of these feature classes, passing it through, and it's going to pass to the PLSQL the necessary feature type, the data type as well of that.
So we're setting up the metadata so that basically in the Intergraph products, it'll be ready to go like that.
That's right, and this is exactly what this demo is going to show. I'm going to hit play on this and be brave.
Wow, you're running this?
Yeah, I'm going to run this. It doesn't take too long.
Does it? Oh, okay. Well, it's rolling, and it's nothing quite as exciting as an FME log file going by with a variety of warnings.
Yeah.
Oh, it's complaining about
2D and 3D.
That's okay. That's
right.
fine. We're not worried about that.
Yeah.
And now, it's building indexes even.
And I'm going to close this for a sec. We'll go back here. All right, so that's done. Finished. So now I'm going to go back to my slideshow, click on my other fancy link. This will open up a workspace with the connection already set.
So somehow you're opening a workspace.
I'm up.
Got it.
Yeah. A GeoMedia workspace.
So that saves folks from watching us painfully connect.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Whoops, so if I go into my connections here, I'll see I got my Intergraph one here now, and if I click on my add features, I can see my Oracle database. I'll just grab those.
And that's what you just put in there?
And that's what I just threw in there. So.
Wow. Okay. So shields. Does that have to do with the Avengers?
Maybe so. That would be great. Oh, that was a good movie actually. I just saw that recently. Yeah. So there it is, and this one's not so pretty. I didn't take the extra effort and style up the.
Well, the US of A is a pretty thing though.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Okay, so there's our data in the Oracle database. So that was pretty easy. So
it's always interesting to me how there's so many more of these things on the right-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
People haven't moved west yet.
No, that's right. The counties are getting slowly. I don't think they'll ever change now, but there's a lot of open space in the.
A lot of open space in the west.
I was flying into Vegas there a few weeks back for the Hexagon, and I was just like, oh my So much open space.
A lot of open space.
Yeah. So all I want to say about that workspace.
Hey, let's look. There's numbers all over. What does that mean, Steve?
These are the number of features that are passing through from our Access database into the Oracle Spatial writer.
So you sent one copy of the interstate straight in, and the other copy went down into there.
Yeah, and it went into a sampler, and this sampler is just pulling out one feature from each of these feature types.
So you only sent, so four.
Four is going through the sorter, setting up some information here for the text feature, and or for the data types, I should say.
Right. So you're mapping to something that Chuck must want those numbers.
That's right. So you pass those in, and he does some fun stuff on the SQL.
Now I got it. Can you pop that up? I had one other question. I saw a scary UUID in there. What is that about? A little bit, those numbers there, A4.
Yeah, that's the coordinate system.
Oh.
So that's a static value. I didn't go to any extent to make that a little fancier, but the idea behind that is if you wanted to, you could also put in that value into the database. There's probably other ways to do it just there.
So you had to know what that was going to be, and that was set up. Okay.
Yeah. So you could go in your database.
So this is basically set up using a 100% Intergraph coordinate system.
Yeah.
Okay, which GeoMedia will like. Okay.
And I had one customer last year that came back and used this, and a few other interested people. So anybody who's wanting to do this, I spoke with Chuck last year on this, and I'm sure the same goes. Any Intergraph users or customers that want to make use of this workspace. And
do you pronounce it Goom?
Yeah, we had this discussion last year, and I never asked Chuck, so we can make it up as
well. Goon. At least it isn't Goon.
It's the GeoMedia
Goon would be
bad. Object model is what it's.
If it was Goon, you'd think it had something to do with hockey. Yeah, but it's not. It's not to do with hockey at all.
We're not goons here at all.
You're a hockey player though.
I am, yeah.
But you're not a goon.
I'm not a goon. No.
But somehow people would get that package and install it into their Oracle.
Yep. And
then they can do stuff like this. And I guess Steve, you're going to make all this stuff available afterwards.
That's right. Yeah. We've got the spreadsheets and everything. Sorry, the workspace is ready to go. So
all right. Well, that's good. Another demo down.
Yeah. And now we're going to show you the getting some data into this GeoMedia SQL Server data model.
Okay. So is this the older SQL Server 2005, or is it the SQL Server Spatial, or?
This is the older SQL Server.
So the one that doesn't use the native Microsoft stuff.
That's right, yeah.
And you can do the native Microsoft stuff now too.
Yeah, we can add a writer in here. So we go SQL Server. Well, no, this 2013 is the.
No, that would be SQL Server Spatial.
Sorry, yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah.
Now that for folks out there that may be interested, we don't yet support Denali. And if you know what Denali is, that's the next release of SQL Server Spatial. There's some good changes in there. We've got top people working on it right now.
Okay.
But the SQL Server Spatial, I think 2008 was what we did. So these are the various SQL Server options. Oh, and so you're talking about the top one.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with this top one here. So
last year I asked people what FM0 stood for, and I don't remember.
I do.
What is it?
Feature model 0. I believe.
Well, at least I think that's right.
I think we might get a question in on that.
Yeah.
If I'm wrong, please comment.
Yes.
Yeah. So so I've canceled that. So this workspace again, very similar to the previous one, where we're just going to bring some features in.
But because this is an Intergraph specific writer, you don't have to do the metadata stuff. Are you running, or you're going to run it? Or
well, that's the great thing about this particular writer is it actually deals with the metadata.
By itself.
Yeah.
Got it, because it's an Intergraph. So he hits the go button.
Yeah, I'm going to be brave.
So this is much simpler. What are you doing with the attribute creator business?
So we're just, when we write out to the text features, we've got to set up some information here. So this is just setting those attributes and running through.
So the bottom one was the labels, of course.
So we're transferring values back and forth here to get it, make sure it goes out. So the GeoMedia is the access format, and the FM0 is the SQL Server format.
Okay.
All right. So.
I see. There's a little bit of an incompatibility there.
Yeah.
So you got to tap dance around it.
Yep.
Oh, and the numbers, looks like it all is done.
All through, we can see that. Now, if I come back to my slideshow and click on my GeoMedia link, we'll fire up.
It's just so much more fun watching people nervously make connections, Steve.
Well, last year I learned a few things. So
Hey, that looks much like the previous one.
yeah. So you can see here I've got my SQL Server connection set up, and this one here is just opened up. I've not said for it to do anything else.
Yes.
You know, I just opened up the existing features from that database that we just wrote in. So,
Got it.
so yeah. So that's again.
So those labels, for example, are showing up because you did that fancy label
Yeah,
stuff.
that's right. So, and I believe in this case I do have a read-write connection to the SQL Server.
So you could modify things.
I could. Whoops, where is it? Yeah, right here.
How can you tell if it's read? Oh,
No, it's a read only.
okay, but
so
you could have done.
I could have had a read write in there, and then
that's one thing to point out for folks. When you have the FME GDO, the FME data server, it's only going to be read only.
Yep, you're going to be pulling data into your.
You can't do read write, but of course the native Intergraph ones can read and write.
Yeah. Okay, so that's for that one. Now we can go back to our slideshow. Our next one is the ArcSDE demo.
Okay, well, what are you going to be doing here?
Well, what we've got here is a workspace that's going to throw some data from our sample data into the ArcSDE database.
Okay, so you're loading SDE.
Yeah, so I'm going to load some SDE with FME, and then
That's easy for you to say.
Yeah, apparently not this morning. And so I'm going to run this workspace, and this is all this is doing is throwing in these features into the ArcSDE database. We've got, again, this is the annotation feature.
It looks like there's always a little bit of tap dancing when you're doing annotation.
It is, yeah. One of the areas that, you know, you spend a bit of time on is text size and how you want that to be.
Right, because GeoMedia believes in point sizes, and Esri, at least on the SDE side, is on in ground units.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of a fundamental mismatch there.
So, okay, so that's run in successfully. We can see down here, the log file is always very good to review. Anytime you're getting used to FME.
You don't want to see lots of red lines in there, I'm guessing.
No, that's right. So now if I go back here and I'll pull up our GeoMedia again.
So once again, you're going to use that SD connection?
Yep. Yeah, this one here is a pre-canned demo again. I'm pretty sure I added it in here. And this will just open up that connection. So we can see down the bottom here, we're establishing connection to the Esri Geodatabase ArcSDE from within GeoMedia. Just pretty much similar to what we showed in the first demo. So I've got that connection already made here,
okay, yep.
And now I'm just going to open it up.
So you're going to.
I'm just going to grab them all.
Stuff on. Okay. So that's hitting it now again through the GDO.
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
so
it looks the same.
It looks the same. So
and this one you styled nicely.
Yeah. This one here.
So that annotation's actually finding its way back.
It is, yes.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah.
I spent a bit of time on that, trying to get to show up to the text size that we needed to see it on the map.
Because you have to monkey around with the size.
But yeah.
Okay.
It's all good. So
all right. So we kind of can recap this a little bit.
Yeah. So what we've just gone through, we just showed you a little bit about how we can use FME within GeoMedia to bring in certain data formats that GeoMedia doesn't currently support. We also have gone the other way and used FME to write out to the various databases that GeoMedia does support, like Oracle Spatial and the SQL Server, but also our flavor on it, so that if you're looking at batching up large data loads and stuff like that, you can make use of FME in those ways. We showed you the Geom package or the GOOM package from Chuck Woodbury, and how we can actually populate the GDO-sys metadata, and also how we're supporting oriented text.
Right. Oh yeah, point. That's right. I forgot about the point.
Yeah, I didn't mention that during the demos, which is something I'm glad it's here because it is worth mentioning. There is a bit of hokey pokey you got to do with that as well, but we do support it, and I have successfully written it out, oriented points.
Yeah, and we showed the SQL Server, the geodatabase you did using STE, which is not. We could also have done it the same kinds of things using the ArcObjects based geodatabase as well.
That's right. Yeah. File geodatabase API.
Yeah.
Okay. So one thing we wanted to bring up too, because I know Intergraph does work with a lot of other vendors of databases, maybe moving data from one system to another. But here's a list of some supported formats that we deal with. So I won't go through each one of them, but we support the spatial, non-spatial side of a lot of these databases. So if you are looking to interface with any of these databases into your systems.
We did have somebody type in earlier PostGIS actually, so
Yeah, well, that's good. We mentioned it here. So.
yeah. Informix as well. I know we've been kind of flogging DB2 this morning, but Informix we do support as well. And there are people that still use DBase.
Yeah.
I think it was written back when I was a youngster, so that's how long ago that is. And things like the TISA and TER data, in terms of the big. Actually, we've worked with Intergraph on some projects involving some of these higher-end databases or different kinds of specialty databases too.
Yeah. If you don't see it on your list, this is not necessarily a complete list of the databases.
No, it's a good sampler though.
Yeah, I put this together pretty quickly, and some of the formats I didn't necessarily recognize, may not have pulled it in. So.
Oh yeah, just a few things I wanted to just spend a moment, because I know SDE is a major issue in many people's minds when they think about data exchange and the Intergraph family. There's several ways you can get data to move. One, of course, is just to ask if you're in the Intergraph corner of the office, you say to your Esri friend, hey, please give me a shapefile. And that's the traditional way, but I found a nice clip art of a sad face there, because that's really the poorest possible way. There's a bunch of reasons why. Mainly, you end up losing the kind of niceness of your attribute names. The column names all drop to 10 characters, and they're all uppercase, although I think you can get away with lowercase now too, but really, strictly speaking, they should be uppercase. And so that's just not very nice. The data types get lost. You're down to just text or strings and numbers in general. So that's not the best. And the other thing is you can't send arcs around. So if you have any of the curves in your data, that's going to get stroked out into a bunch of points. So that's kind of the least desirable way, but of course it can be done. Now, within FME land and over on the over on the GeoMedia side, we can make use of what we call the ARC objects-based readers. And these require a geodatabase license, and these are all the things that have geodatabase. And you know what, Steve, let's off-road here. Can you bring up an FME of some kind, or you got a workbench there? Yeah, let's just look at one of these and go add reader. Under readers, say add reader, and hit the ... And we'll just filter the list. Just type in the word GOD there. There's quite a mouthful here of geodatabase formats, and these are things where you got to have an ArcGIS installed, except for the one you've highlighted, ironically, and we'll get to that one in a minute. But the rest of these, you've got to have an ArcGIS license there. Now, the good thing is you're going to get your annotations come out real well, your curves come out real well, all that sort of stuff. You get full attribute names and all that good things, so that's all great, but you're using the ARC objects install. The one Steve has highlighted is brand new in FME 2012, and that's using a free API that Esri has provided to partners, and that lets us read and write most of the file geodatabase without needing an ArcObjects license present. And so that's a very rich, way better than shapefiles for a bunch of reasons. You get your arcs and ellipses. You will get your full attribute names, and the data types are preserved. I think there's trouble in annotation, so that's a bit of a sad face there.
Okay.
But again, there was no annotation in shapefiles either, so we're not any further behind. So that's that one. And then lastly, if you can just erase the GOD and let's just search for SDE. There you go. So there's a bunch of ways to get to SDE. The one that's highlighted is the one that uses the C API that does not use an ArcObjects license but needs the DLLs present. And you can get those DLLs by using the ArcSDE SDK, which any installation that has ArcSDE will have. Okay. So that's that. We will point out that if you're moving to ArcGIS 10.1, that SDK is no longer provided on 32-bit, but if you had the 10.01, it'll still work. Okay. So Esri is moving away, at least from what we can see from the installers and their frequently asked questions, from 32-bit SDE client access. Okay. So I think we'll leave it at that. One last thing, if you go back to the slides, I did include the interesting ways to SDE link. Let's try clicking that and see what happens. We didn't practice this. Okay, this goes up, and if you missed all the stuff that I just went through, this page here goes through all the different flavors of SD formats, or sorry, Esri formats, and how you can use them in FME and what the issues are. So that's really the one-stop shop. A very common question, and we spent a lot of time really trying to get this put together well. I know Robin, who's answering the questions, is looking really forward to adding a whole new section on 10.1 and how that interacts with this.
I bet
so
she
thanks,
is.
Robin. She's probably working on it right now, even when people aren't asking questions.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. All right, so that's my little rant on that.
Okay, so yeah, how we're doing for time we got?
Well, we got not too much left, so
all right,
we'll cruise right through these next two areas.
So I'm just going to open up a workspace here, which is the FME and Utilities. I believe this workspace is related to reading. Let me just hover over that again, see if I can get this. Yeah, it's yeah, so this is going to be looking at the FRAMME workspace that I have. So very simple workspace, but it's custom data format.
You've wrapped up. You've done something where you.
Yeah, we can look at it.
Are you going to show me?
Yeah, I'll open up that. So this is the resulting workspace that you would have.
So that one is very
format.
simple.
Yes.
But what you've done is, I guess each site could create this kind of thing.
That's right.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is a little more tricky.
So this is a little more involved workspace, but we're more than happy to help people kind of get through and walk through the ideas. Now this one here, I'm not sure what system it's based on, but we've got the different features. So what we do in the end is we create a custom data format.
Can you open up the triangle there?
Yeah.
Whoa, okay, so there's all the stuff coming off of that thing, pipe ref. Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and then we're passing it through, doing what we need to do to it.
And are you joining? Are you joining to anything?
It looks like we're doing a feature merger right here with this.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, you're merging stuff together, and
so this will be the design files here.
Oh, there they are. I see. Oh, down here, these things that are 46, whatever, that's coming from the design file. So if you click open the triangle there, oh, there's not. Oh, that's where we see. Oh, these fancy things. UFID.
Yeah,
I was going to ask,
there's
we should see if anybody knows what UFID stands for. Universal Feature ID? I don't know. But anyway, that's the design file part, and you're reading the database, and you're merging them together in this workflow. Got it.
So the idea here is we can hide this behind, and for, you know, that frame system that's sitting there, you can have this sitting there, and you can bring in this custom data format that I showed you in the previous.
Yes.
The previous format.
This one, the workspace here, makes use of this fine stuff
to simplify getting it out.
So you're actually going to run this thing?
No, I'm not going to run this for sake of time. So we're going to move away from this. But that's what all you would be able to do.
And so that lets us get at the frame data. A lot of folks have done this for a purpose of migration.
So, absolutely.
All right.
All right.
So what's next?
So just a little summary on frame export.
Right.
FME Workbench.
Well, once you have that, you're set to go to anything you want to.
That's right. Yeah.
KML, frame to KML, kind of two opposite ends of the format spectrum.
Now, the other one I didn't mention about, which is the G technology, I do have a workspace, but I'm probably not going to bring it up right now. We're down to about 12 minutes left. But anytime you're working with the G technology, you're looking for, I'll show you in the workspace.
Show us the, it's actually right here. You can find it, right?
Yeah. So we want to work with, you want to work with this format, the Oracle Relational Model. And so that, where we go?
It talks in here. Yeah, about Oracle Spatial, the older relational model.
Yeah.
And then somewhere in here, the enhanced relational.
There we go. That's what I want to bring up. So anytime you're working with this writer particularly, you want to make sure you turn on the enhanced relational operation, and that will that's just a parameter on your reader. If we go back here,
is it on this thing?
No, it's not on this particular one.
No, you have to find where would that go?
I didn't even actually add it in, but we'll add in our writer.
You're gonna do that? You're gonna go live here?
I think so.
Relational. You can probably get away without filling in anything nearly. You can just go blah blah blah.
There we go.
Hulk. That's the second Avengers reference in this webinar.
That's actually the name of my local database. So that's going to add in a writer here that I think will
say yes probably, or it doesn't matter. And say okay. Good.
So now we got that in here, but what we've got here under our advanced, is it in here?
Somewhere there's an enhanced. There, maybe geometry model. If you double click that, is that going to be? Yes.
There it is.
Woo.
Found it.
I was both nervous.
Yeah. I was like, where did it go?
Okay.
So anytime you're working with like G technology model, you want to turn on the enhanced relational there, and that's how you do that. And that's going to write it out into a format, a little nicer for you. So let's get back to our slideshow. FME and ICAD, yeah, the recent Hexagon conference. Dale and I had a lot of foot traffic related to the ICAD. One particular was a potential customer was trying to find out the right answer or the best answer. Their concern was they were an Esri shop and they really were interested in the ICAD product, but again, it comes back to the, well, we've seen a lot of interest in how to close the door between, this SDGIS database and getting it out into a format other than shape. They were, they want to do away with shape. Esri's been trying to get away from that for years. They never will. Shape's here for life. But. So so we are working with a few people at Intergraph, Judy and Mike, and trying to and Luke Grenlin, trying to get some best practices and some ideas there that we can help with existing customers and maybe future Intergraph ICAD customers as well.
Yeah. So that's definitely an area, and if anybody out there is in that boat, do be in touch with us. Let us know via the chat here today if you have an interest, and we'll be in touch with you and continue to work to do even better there.
Yeah, and Dale, you're up. You've got a poll question here.
Wow. Okay. So what? Oh, okay. We were going to ask. We don't have much time left, but we'll just quickly ask what people think about 3D data, and we'll probably not bring up a 3D thing. We probably need to, we'll just whip through the slides here.
Yeah, skim over very quickly.
So, well, there's people that already are doing 3D, and let's see. We'll probably end the polling at that, and I'll share the results. So among this audience, half the folks basically not doing 3D, and then the rest of them either already doing it, which is a chunk, and all the way down. Now, FME does a lot of 3D stuff, and in fact, I think right now or earlier today in the Netherlands, we were participating in a 3D meeting for this thing called the 3D Pilot, where we're showing off some of our latest stuff. We're doing a lot of R&D on the area of 3D, and basically on the two things there, formats, so things like City GML and so on, but also transformations like 3D validation. That's a big area of research for us. If you give us 3D data, is it good or bad? I know everybody's data is always perfect, but it's always useful. In the 2D world, everybody's data was always perfect, and yet it was probably worth having some things in FME for checking that, because occasionally it wasn't. It's even more so in 3D, where the things that say that they're a closed building are cracked open and stuff like that. So we're working on all that and calculating volumes and things, and so that's what's going on. So we've been working with Intergraph on the GeoMedia 3D side and providing ways of bringing data in and out. So if you have GeoMedia 3D, the importer there is from us. My Intergraph friends have said that at their conference many times. So we can bring stuff in and out, and we can do things like create 3D out of 2D. So we've got scenarios like this. We've got footprints and textures and things, and this is from our friends in the city of Yavla. We created a 3D city for them using FME technology and their inputs. So we even have roofs that we create because they gave us a data set that actually had the top and bottom heights of the roofs.
That's right.
So that's that one. Works real well.
All right, so now we wanted to change gears and just quickly introduce FME Server. For those of you that are not familiar with FME Server, it works in conjunction with FME Desktop. Basically, you author your workbenches in FME Desktop. You publish them on FME Server, where you can deploy them out to the wider audience through a web interface that we can do all kinds of fun stuff with. So here's our FME Desktop authors, and they're working on the workspaces, tweaking them, and then they're publishing them up to FME Server.
So you basically just hit a button and up it goes.
Yeah, that's right. It's a little wizard that publishes up.
And now I guess people can access that through a web browser.
Yep. Or
you can also use a scheduler to run stuff at a certain time.
That's right.
That's a very common situation.
Yeah.
So these are all, I guess, the various types of things that Server can do for people.
Yeah. We've got web services that cover these areas, so our data distribution, live data streams, data upload service. So if you want to send up a CAD file or something to validate it before you throw it into a centralized database, this is something where you could make use of that.
But everybody's data is always perfect, Steve.
Oh, well, yeah. Sure.
So, but anyway.
Not the contractors doing the CAD.
That's true. That's how come it is perfect, because they've done stuff like this.
That's right.
This business here about centralized data transformation, I know we are working with some clients that are doing a massive import into a modern G technology tech platform from older ones. And so that's a way you can use FME Server to just pound it through in parallel in a very managed way so that you can tell what went wrong.
That's right. You're seeing log files, tracks of the jobs, and make sure they run successfully and whatnot. And then scheduling services, we all kinds of fun scheduling. And this new notion in FME 2012, FME Server 2012 is notifications and real-time events. So a little bit about that. We now have the capabilities here in FME Server where we can do certain functions based on inputs coming in. We've got an email server in there. We can receive emails, process data from an email attachment, and then send out notifications and alerts out. So this is just the tip of the iceberg on this.
Yeah, like you say, we can react to an email. If you go back there, Steve, do you remember that it won an award, the Intergraph ad that they did one year? For some reason, they drove a big truck around in San Diego. And I'm thinking that that person's achieving data nirvana and behind there.
I think you're right.
Because it's the same sort of pose.
It is. It's very similar. I remember that.
So you have to be an old timer to know that one.
Yeah,
but
a couple of my old boss in Ottawa, he was with that truck.
Did he drive the truck?
I don't know if he drove it, but we'll say he was in the back.
He was in the back. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know there was actually people in it. Yeah. Okay, so that's that.
Yeah, and we don't hear a lot about this, but there are a few integrations where GeoMedia Web Map has made use of the FME GDO inside of GeoMedia Web Map, and further interface with the FME server through the REST API and create some custom interfaces between the two systems there.
Yes.
So any discussions on that? So what's next? We're down to what? 4 minutes left. Wow, that went by very quickly.
Yeah.
So just a few things to take away from here. You can always get a free trial FME Desktop. We do a lot of free trials. I think it's what, a 14-day free trial.
And we can extend that for Intergraph friends.
Absolutely. And if you need a bit more information on what we can do in areas that you got some pain points that you want us to kind of go over, we can have a personalized go-to meeting. And
I think we also you actually don't. Sometimes you do desktop webinars that only just introduce FME. In fact, I think they run every Thursday.
That's right.
There's probably one in a couple hours, but it's too late to get on board that one, maybe.
I think it's starting. You can sign up pretty late. It starts at 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So I think you still can sign up pretty late.
You can make it a full FME morning.
Yeah, that's right.
But otherwise, you can look, I guess, on one of those links, probably the webinars link.
Yeah, this is, where's my mouse gone? Here we go. Click on this. So we'll bring up a page.
Oh, yeah, those ones.
So you can still register, I think, for this one. Let's see if this is going to give me. But you can see here we got lots of upcoming webinars. Come to this page. You can learn more about the product. Yeah, it looks like you're going to get pushed to next week, so you can't sign up anymore. Yeah, Dale's correct on that. So we also have lots of training and courses you can get on. I don't know if we're offering any. Well, we got this slide.
Hey, why don't we?
We should jump to that. So if you're interested, Dale's going to put up a poll question.
Let's see.
Based on your interest in trying to get some FME training.
So yeah, if you're interested in that, let us know and we'll put you in the draw.
And while you're answering those questions, we have a knowledge base website, FMEpedia.com, where you can go to and get lots of great information on how to use FME, or maybe there's some issues you're having, and lots of times we'll have articles up there that maybe workarounds or issues that we know about.
And there's also that FME channel on YouTube.
That FME channel on YouTube is fantastic, so let's just have a peek at that.
The folks can't see it because they're still voting.
Yeah.
But
we'll just bring it up here.
You got it ready? You got it ready? Okay, I'm going to say that that's the end. Very polite crowd. The ones that aren't going to take it are saying no thanks.
Oh, that's
very nice. That's good. So anyway, this is the FME channel here on YouTube.
Yeah, so what we've got here is lots of different playlists focused on the different areas that we talk about. So if anybody missed the world tour and wants to check that out. But down here we got the FME desktop. If you click on that, you can see the different values or videos that we have up there on that. And likewise for the FME server side of things, a little tutorial. We got information on it and the Intergraph and webinars from previous past. So there's lots of great information up there to sink your teeth in. I know videos are kind of a nice way to go.
Yep.
All right, so
I think that's probably it. We'll let these folks get on with their days wherever they are.
Yeah.
We've seen lots of stuff. Thanks, Steve. I want to just say thank you so much for the breadth of expertise you bring to the table. A lot of very interesting ways we complement. Safe Software complements Intergraph products, and it's really great having you here to help bridge that gap and to know the vocabulary of both universes. So really appreciate your efforts here today. All the folks out there, we're going to be sending you a link to this and following up with you. And don't hesitate to ask more questions. Steve and I and Robin will hang around a little bit here after we sign off to look at the questions. There wasn't really anything that I normally would recap the questions. Nothing too noteworthy that we haven't already talked about as the thing was going on. So so thanks very much, everybody. And I think with that, we'll sign off from, this is our first time in this, my first time in this fancy recording studio, from the beautiful Crystal Gondola here in Surrey, British Columbia. This is Dale Lutz saying goodbye.
And goodbye from Steve McCabe.
All right. Thank you very much.